Hello everybody. I got a great live show for you today. Another day, another live, another topic. Important topic though. I wasn't going to do a live on this topic, but now that we're here, I want to tell you what happened today. So I had a friend of mine that I know. We're not super close, but we've met in person, we're acquainted, we know each other. She messaged me today and told me a situation about how a guy that she knows, a successful guy that she knows, recently broke up with his girlfriend because she asked him for an allowance and he said no and broke up with her for asking. Now, that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the girlfriend allowance. What that is, what that means, what that looks like, how you should approach it, and maybe if you stick around, I'll teach you how to get it. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. This friend of mine says she has an argument with me about me all the time to this man because she sends him some of my content. He's like, oh, I don't know about that. Da, 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 da. Here's the thing. Let me just preface the girlfriend allowance. Now, I've talked about this before. I've talked about me personally paying for some of my girlfriend's rent or paying her rent or in her lifestyle sort of entirely. And let me just make this clear. The only reason I've ever done that, to be clear, it's not because I'm some pay pig or some sort of cuck or some sort of simp that's the only way he can get a girl or whatever. The reason I've ever paid for girlfriends is not because, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Here's money. No. It's this girl that I was seeing for some time. The time had passed, and then my life became much more hectic, and I traveled much more frequently. And my lifestyle became very on the fly, very fast like that. And then it got to the point where I want her to come with me for certain things, not everything, but certain things, okay? So I said, hey, I'm doing this thing. It's tomorrow. I don't know. It's tomorrow. Can you come? Will you come? Join me for this. And she's like, well, I can't. I got a job. I got this and that. I got rent to pay. I got bills due, blah, blah, blah. And then it just got to the point where it was like, hey, you know what? I'll just pay your rent. Stop whatever thing you got going on. Don't worry about it. I'll cover this month's rent. I want you to come to Italy with me. I'm going to go. Here's rent. Don't worry. That's what happened. It wasn't like I just met some girl on the street and said, will you be my girlfriend? Here's money. Okay? That would be fucking ridiculous. All right? Not saying some guys don't need to do that, because they certainly do. However, for me, in my particular case, it's not like I put the cart before the horse in my case. Now, this guy has been dating this girl, a very successful guy. Dating this girl, and then she's like, look, I want like an allowance. Now, let me just paint a clear picture here. Because ladies, there's something called tact that you must have. If you want to maintain your feminine composure, you must have tact. Okay? I think that's good advice for women everywhere. All right? But first things first. It's one thing to date a man that will just, on occasion, or when he's so inclined, just send you money here and there. Get your nails done, eyebrows done, get a spray tan, whatever. Venmo, right? That's one thing. There's another thing where it's like, I'm just paying this girl to be around, all right? And I think that right there is the worst version. And then there's the other thing where it's like, look, it's a matter of convenience for me as a man, a busy man, that you're available to me, and I'm not sure when that's going to be or what that's going to look like. So instead of you not being able to because of your prior commitments, I'm just going to buy out all your commitments so that you're available to me. Do you guys with me? You guys with me? That version is, in my opinion, the most realistic version of the girlfriend allowance. Unless you're dating some dork who is not attractive or is really just, you don't really like him and you're only hanging out with him for money, fine, that's different. But if it's a real girlfriend allowance, it's for a guy that has the means to provide that for you. That's almost the best scenario is almost always when the guy he doesn't know what his life is going to be like. It's constantly changing. It's on the fly because he's a man that's about it, and he needs you available. And the only way that's fucking possible is for you to not have a job so that you can be available at whenever the time comes up, right? So that's the realist scenario, and that's the best scenario. Not saying, hey, look, some of you guys paying for honey or whatever, and look, I can't comment much on that. However, I will say if it's legal in your state and you're both adults and the birds do it and bees do it, and if you all help each other out from time to time, that's between you guys and God and everything, and that's it. And maybe some of you freakier ones, you got a couple extra people involved in that. I don't know. But that's between y'all, not my problem. All I'm saying is that I'm not sitting here telling men you should only get a girlfriend and you have to pay for it outright all the time. That's not necessarily the case. It's just an ideal case. Okay? Like if you're a man that makes enough money and you want your girlfriend around for convenience and she just has a work to live job, then and only then does it make sense to kind of just buy her way out of those commitments so that she can be free and available to you. Don't y'all want to hang out together? Don't you want to make it easy? So that's why you would give a girl an allowance. Okay? Now, ladies, let me tell you how to approach that. Because here's what you don't to do. You don't start dating a man a month in or whatever, and then you go up to him and say, hey, I need a girlfriend allowance. That's fucking rude. Now, don't get me wrong. That might work for some of y'all. What I love about women is that you have the ability to live in kind of a land of like, you just might get it. Act a little crazy, be a little delusional, and hell, you just might get it. I love that about women. That's a great thing. But men get offended if they feel like they're being blatantly taken advantage of. All right? Men, at the very least, y'all got to pretend like you like the guy. Good Lord. If you're just going up to him and say, look, the only reason I'm sticking around is if you give me a girlfriend allowance, that's going to make him feel angry. Because you're making him feel inadequate, like he can't attract you from his muscles or his personality alone, and instead he has to buy you over, you see? And where I see a lot of you women in here like, yeah, so I feel that, I hear you. However, you're going to make the man feel emasculated, and that won't work very well. It's just going to lead to an argument. Do you understand? You guys get what I'm saying? So you can't just walk up to him and be like, I need a girlfriend allowance or I'm not sticking around. You can't give him an ultimatum because A, that's rude. It's not very feminine. It's very, very pushy. And you're going to make him feel like he doesn't really have you, and you're going to leave him at the drop of a hat. And that's not how it would work well for you. That's just going to end up like this poor girl ended up with her getting dumped by a rich man. She was too aggressive. You get what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the problem? Well, being so assertive that way, it's masculine as fuck to be that assertive, number one. And number two, you're going to make the man feel like he couldn't get you. You see what I'm saying? And if you that's like a core, deep down in their soul issue. Like they would feel, that would be like a dagger. All right? It would cut all the way down to their childhood and the inadequacies they felt when they were in middle school, and the girl that he wanted the finger paint with was like, no. All right, he's gonna feel that shit. It's gonna unlock a memory, and he's gonna send them spiral. You guys don't need that shit. All right. No, men don't love being used. Men like being useful. Do you understand? There's a big difference. They don't like being used. And certainly don't feel like they're being used. They like to feel like they're useful. All right? So hear what I'm saying. Men don't want to feel like they're used. Okay? So unless that's a specific kink, and I know some of you guys out here watching my content got some crazy kinks, y'all sniffing shoes and everything else. I get it. Some of y'all are weird as fuck. But for the vast majority, they don't want to feel used. They want to feel useful. And if that means that, hey, I'm helping my girl out, I'm helping her get by, I'm now feeling useful, I feel like a man. You see the difference? You guys see the difference? All right? You guys with me? Okay, so how do you make him feel useful? I'm going to show you I'm gonna show you how to make them feel useful. And this will fucking work. If it's gonna work, this is how it's gonna work. But first, let me turn the AC down. It's a little cold in my house. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Sometimes the sweater is not enough. All right. Let me rap with it and get real here. Straddle this chair like Britney Spears for a second. Listen, men don't want to feel used, they want to feel useful. Feel me? You with me? Okay. Now, how do you get the same result and allow for the men to feel useful? How do you get a man to pay your allowance? If you want an allowance, let's put it that way. Here's how you do it. You are dating a man. First and foremost, you have to date a man with means. That's a matter of fact. It's got to be a guy with means in the first place. All right? He's got to have enough money so that it's reasonable to even request. Because if you're dating a guy that's broke, dating a guy that's just getting by, if you're dating a guy that just can't be bothered and to fill out a job application, obviously that's not going to work for you. Okay? You guys with me? Okay. So, obviously that's not going to work for you. So you got to date a guy that has money. You know he has money. All right? That's first. Got to date a provider. There's no doubt about that. Provider mindset and man. All right? Now, once you know you're dating that guy and y'all exclusive, that's another one. That's a harder one. That's another one. And y'all exclusive. Then that man, that busy man that has money, you just got to be not very available to him. You can't. You got a long day today. You can't make it to his house. You got a long day. It's been a long day. You're falling asleep on the couch. You're not able to make the trip because you got a work thing. You got to work tomorrow. You have all of these obligations because you yourself are having to pay for your life. You see? How are you supposed to be at a man's convenience if you have to work? You see? Now, if you say that to them directly, the man will feel used. That doesn't work. You need him to feel useful. Okay? So, what does that mean? If you want to get an allowance from a man, you just need to be so busy paying for your life that it's unreasonable for him to ask to see you so much. And if you posture it to him that way, then the man will have the brilliant idea and go, oh, I know what I can do. Why don't I just pay your rent? And then you don't have to work as much and I can see you more often. And then he goes, and then you're like, and then you do this. Oh, wow, yeah. That's a good idea. Okay. Are you sure? And that's how you get them, folks. Make the man feel useful if you want to get your rent paid. That's straight up the answer. Because that's what I would do. I would feel, and then he would be like, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm paying for my girl's rent. Yeah. Now she'll come over on a Tuesday when she normally wouldn't. Blah, 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 blah. Ha-ha! See? That's how you do it, folks. You got to make him come up with it on his own because you're just so busy. You're just so busy. I got work tomorrow. I got a gig I got to do. I got to pay my bills. And you're saying that shit. And that should be facts. That's kind of honest, right? And that's realistic. It's most humans, most people. All right. And then he'll say, well, wait a second. You shouldn't be working so much. So if you're so busy all the time, you're the busiest girl I know. I'm never going to see you unless I do something about it. Why don't I pay for some stuff? Why don't I help? Why don't I make it so you can work part-time? And by the way, ladies, that's a start. All right? The answer is, you don't walk up to your man of means and say, allowance, please, because if you do that, it's fucking rude. It's not very feminine. And then you're not going to get the result you want. But the real answer is, it's just, you can't be available to him because you're overwhelmed with trying to keep up with your bills. You're just too busy. Sorry. You have time for maybe once a week, maybe. And then he'll go, I'll just pay it. You know what? I'll just come over. I'll pay it. Don't worry. And then you go, okay. Sounds good. And that's how you do it, ladies. That is how you get an allowance, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, that would work on men even watching this live. You in here, if you're a man with means, I promise you, men with means, here's the thing. Men with means pay for convenience. And that includes the availability of his girlfriend or wife or whatever. So it's not unreasonable that if your girlfriend's not being provided for, then she's working to provide for herself, right? So therefore, she's busy, she's going to be at work. So therefore, the man with the means would say, why don't I just subsidize some of her labor, and why don't I just pay for her rent so that she can be more freely available to me? And you just kind of make that apparent to him in your dialogue. Oh, I got to work tomorrow. Sorry, I can't come over tonight. I'm too tired. Da 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 da. He will on his own come up with his own epiphany on like, I'll just pay your rent. Don't worry about it. Come over tonight. I'll just pay for it. Don't worry. And then you'll make it seem like it's his idea, and boom, bam, Bob's your uncle. Now you're on a girlfriend salary. Ta-da! Words of wisdom, folks. Make the man feel useful, not used. Y'all should be dating men. You know what's sexy? In 2024, the year of country Beyonce. What's sexy is fiscal responsibility. All right? Guys using credit cards getting 10x the points or whatever, that's mileage, baby. Add that up. Fiscal responsibility, folks. I'd be more worried about it if he didn't have a credit card. Or he's asking to be a user on yours. If on the second or third date he's asking to be an authorized user on your credit card, I'd be more worried about that. The man's got credit card to put meals on, good. That's great. He's got a credit score enough. You know what I'm saying? That's great. All right? Paying for half the ring as a woman is crazy to work. That's crazy. What kind of desperation? Poor girl. Come on, honey, I'll pay for half. Can we just please get married? What? God, leave him where he found him. That's crazy. What kind of commitment is that? Jeez Louise, have some self-respect, good Lord. Dating 5 months, I've never paid for anything ever. Some of my friends said Some of my friends said I should offer sometimes. Yeah, you should offer. Do the modest let me, you look in your bag and it's just lipstick, your Lipic. You open it, you got your ID and Lipic in there. Hey, there's no money anyways, but you should just kind of do like it's just nice. Would you ever let a woman pay? Okay, listen, guys. So I grew up in the South, and for me, I've always knew that just dating women just cost. It just costs to date. And I never felt ever that it's not my responsibility to pay for all of it. I feel like it would make me look like a bitch. If you went out and you couldn't buy the popcorn, you went out and couldn't afford a meal for her, I would just feel like, what am I doing dating? I have my priorities out of whack. What am I selling here? Because selling this version of myself, the guy who couldn't pay for a date, a meal, is not the version of myself I even want to offer someone. You see what I'm saying? I would feel like a bitch. And do you want to be a man or do you want to be a bitch? I'm rich and men use me to pay for them. What should I do? Date a higher tax bracket. Stop hanging around with bummy dudes that need you to pay for stuff. Men, even if they're broke, even if they were, I don't understand this. Even if a man had no money or had a job and he's dating a woman that has way more money than him, it's just respectful to just assume that the guy's going to pay. He should just assume that that's his responsibility. He's taking the woman out. You guys get it? That's just called being respectful. And I don't understand why people don't think they should have to, especially men. That's crazy. Bellaro. How you know if you're settling is if you're going to my live and ask me, how do I know if I'm settling? If you're that curious and you think that you might be settling, so you come online and ask a stranger if you're settling or not, the answer, sis, is you're settling. Ta-da! I didn't even need a degree or anything for that answer. I knew that right off rip. Boom. If you got to ask me, then you're settling. That's it. If you come on here with the confidence to type that shit out, and he's probably laying in the bed right next to y'all, next to you, and you're asking, if that man is lying in the bed right next to you, and you're on my live asking me, how do I know if I'm settling? Ma'am, the answer is you're settling. God, you better turn that volume down for y'all getting a fight tonight. I hope you got your AirPods in, your earphones in. I just caused a whole bunch of domestic unrest. Sorry. That wasn't for you. What if men are too intimidated to approach? They just look. That's a common problem. All right, but let me answer your question with another question. The answer is this: why would you want to date a man who is too intimidated to talk to you in the first place? Is that a man you're going to respect and cherish? Is that, if he's afraid of you, little rat girl who put herself together, it took 2 days to put herself together to go out tonight on Friday night. She had to do her spray tan. She had to do a blowout. She had to get her fucking chipped ass nails done. All this stuff, all right? You had to do this just so you can show up for 2 hours and then you're tired. If that grown ass man is afraid of you, what the fuck? How do you think that you're going to respect him? You get what I'm saying? Yeah, wax too. You got to wax too. You got to shave those legs and above the knee. My God, above the knee, please God. But if that man is afraid of you, who 3 out of 7 days a week wears juicy couture pants and a too tight hair ponytail, where you got like dead skin around the hairline because you pull it too tight, and that man's afraid of you, do you want to date that man? Don't worry about the men that are too intimidated to come up to you. Don't worry about that. Worry about men that aren't afraid of you. All right? God. Oh. That's right. So please, for the love of God, if that man is worried about you, too afraid to talk to you, I promise you're not going to respect that man in any other context. So don't worry about those guys. Worry about the guys that have the constitution to walk up to you in your most prettiest dress. And then if they can talk to you, then that man at least qualifies. You see what I'm saying? And then to the men that are watching this live, it's like, grow some balls, grow a pair. Because I promise you this. No, guys that have made something of themselves become confident in themselves because they have what it takes to make something of themselves in this world. They have what it takes to be valuable to the marketplace, to be valuable to others. They get a lot of social proof and edification from that. And that enables them to have the personality that allows them to walk up to a stranger with confidence. All right? You know who doesn't approach you? Guys that don't have that. All right? The guys that are too afraid or sitting across the room like, oh, I don't know what to do with 22-year-old, 5 days out of 7 a week, 5 days out of 7 days a week. She's a little rat girl, but for 2 days she's kind of pretty. Okay, because she put it all together. I'm afraid to talk to her because I don't know, she might not like me. If you're worried about a man like that, that man doesn't have anything going on. That kind of guy hasn't done what it takes to build the confidence up in his life. You see what I'm saying? And why would you want to date that guy? You guys with me?